Hello and welcome to Idea TV Media News. I am Mary Ojimajo. We begin with the headlines. Sovereignty over Greenland not discussed with Trump, NATO chief says. Speeding truck kills 3, injured 40 in YOBE. Oyo State unveils week-long event for Golden Jubilee. Federal government vows zero tolerance for corruption in tertiary institution. And away from Africa, U.S. holds back from Trump peace board. In business, IMF credits Nigerian with boosting Africans' growth. In health, NAFDAC enforces SACHET alcohol ban. In weather, we have NIMET warns of 3 days of poor weather. And finally, in sports, AFCON 2026 MADUGU targets World Cup tickets. Now the news in full. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says the issue of Danish sovereignty over Greenland was not discussed during the meeting with United States President Donald Trump, despite the president's claim of a framework for a deal on the Arctic region. Rutte made this clear on Wednesday, speaking in a televised interview. Rutte says discussion with President Trump focuses on security in the Arctic, aiming growing activity by China and Russia and how NATO can collectively ensure the region remains safe. He noted that while both sides agreed to begin work on Arctic-related issues, no concrete deal has been reached and significant work still lies ahead. At least 3 people have been killed and about 40 others injured after a speeding center truck rampaged into pedestrian along the Gombe-Pokiskom road in Yobe State. The crash happened on yesterday Wednesday afternoon near Badijo town in Pokiskom local government area. A busy market day stretched to the highway. The Federal Road Safety Corps confirmed the incident, saying the truck, which was heading to Pokiskom Castle Market, lost control while moving at high speed and plunged into people sitting by the roadside. The victims were caught in the impact during heavy human and movements on the expressway. FRS officials said speeding and overloading were responsible for the crash. The injured were rushed to the nearby hospitals while the bodies of the deceased were evacuated. Authorities have warned drivers to avoid reckless driving, especially on busy market days, to prevent further loss of lives. Moving forward, the Oyo State government has announced a week-long lineup of events to mark the 50th anniversary of the state's creation. The celebration, scheduled to begin January 26, will feature religious service, cultural display, public lectures, health outreach program, and a grand award and dinner night. Chairman of the Oyo at 50th Anniversary Committee, Sahid Fajibai, said the events are designed to celebrate the state's identity, resilience, and development journey. Governor Seyi Makinde is expected to deliver a keynote address at the International Conference Center, University of Ibadan, while a special dinner on February 3 will honor distinguished citizens. Created on February 3, 1976, Oyo State will also host carnivals, sports activities, film shows across its 6 geopolitical zones and empowerment program for women. Organized by the Golden Jubilee, is aimed at reflecting on the past and the present gain. In another news, the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, made the declaration on Wednesday in Abuja at a retreat for leaders of polytechnics, College of Education and government councils, warning that transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership will now be strictly enforced across the sector. Alausa said financial recklessness, abuse of office, and unethical practice would attract sanctions, directing governing councils and management to ensure fiscal discipline, timely audits, merit-based appointments, and prudent resource management. He stressed that polytechnic education must be transformed through innovation, sustainability, and industry-focused training to drive national development and restore public trust. Now, the minister also announced new support measures, including a third fund intervention to upgrade polytechnic engineering schools with modern equipment. He said the reforms would align with the President Bola Tinubu renewed hope agenda, while sector leaders at the retreat called for sustained dialogue, better funding and stronger industrial partnership to reposition technical education as a pillar of economic growth. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we get back.
"5G technology. 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation. By 2026, the 5G market is expected to be valued at $667.90 billion, with the US, China, and South Korea leading the change. The challenge? Cybersecurity risks and data privacy will remain top concerns as more devices become connected.
Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is IJTV Media News. Now the rest of the news. Away from Africa, the United Kingdom says it will not sign up to United States President Donald Trump's proposed Board of Peace treaty today, citing legal concerns and uneasy over Russia's involvement. Foreign Secretary says British support the board goals of President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, which he is promoting at the World Economic Forum in Davos, but insisting the treaty raises wider legal and political issues. She also pointed to concerns about Russian President Putin being linked to a peace initiative, saying there is no clear commitment from Moscow to peace in Ukraine, while the Kremlin says it is still consulting partners before deciding whether to join the plan. In business, the International Monetary Fund says Nigeria's ongoing economic stability efforts are beginning to deliver results, helping to improve the growth outlook for sub-Saharan Africa. Speaking on Wednesday during the presentation of its January 2026 World Economic Outlook update, the fund revised regional growth upward to 4.4% for 2025, citing Nigerians among key economic where policy adjustments are starting to pay off. The IMF says Nigerian reforms are contributing to a more stable macroeconomic environment alongside favorable commodity price and improved global financial conditions, although it warns that risk remains for weaker economic across the region. Now in health, Nigerian Drug and Food Regulator, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, has begun enforcing the ban on the production of sale of alcohol in sachets and small plastic bottles below 200. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola, announced the move on Wednesday yesterday during a media briefing in Lagos, saying the agency has now received a formal directive from the Senate to proceed with enforcement after an earlier suspension. She explained that the ban is aimed at protecting public health, especially children and young people, by reducing easy access to high alcohol content drinks, adding that the widespread availability of sachet alcohol poses serious health and social risks. Now in weather, NIMET, Nigeria's weather agency, has forecast dust, haze and thunderstorm across parts of the country from Thursday today to Saturday, raising concern about visibility, health and travel conditions. In an outlook released on Wednesday yesterday, the Nigerian agency says dust haze will affect several northern states, while sunny but hazy conditions are expected across much of the north-central region. In the south, the agency predicts period of thunderstorm and light rainfall, particularly in coastal and inland states. NIMET is advising residents, especially those with respiratory conditions, to take precaution, urging motorists and airline operators to plan carefully as dust particles remain suspended in the atmosphere and rainfall could affect movement and safety. Finally, in sport, Super Falcon head coach Justin MADUGU says his focus is to secure a World Cup ticket for Nigeria at the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. The tournament is scheduled to be held in Morocco, where qualification slots for the next Women's World Cup will be decided. The target comes as striker Uchenna Kano spoke about her disappointment at being left out of the 2024 AFCON squad. Kano, who featured for Nigeria at the 2023 Women's World Cup and the 2024 Olympic Games, said she received no clear explanation after being dropped shortly before the tournament, with the Super Falcons went on to win under MADUGU. Despite her absence, Nigeria claimed a record 10th African title, coming from 2 goals down to beat Morocco in the final. Kano says she has congratulated the team and hopes to return to the national setup ahead of AFCON 2026 as MADUGU begins preparation aimed at continental success and World Cup qualification. And that's all we have for you on Nigeria TV News. But before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. We brought to you that sovereignty over Greenland not discussed with Trump, NATO chief said. We also brought to you that speeding truck kills 3, injured 40 in YOBE. Oyo State unveils week-long event for Golden Jubilee. And federal government vows zero tolerance for corruption in tertiary institution. And away from Africa, U.S. holds back from Trump peace board. In business, IMF credits Nigerian with boosting African growth. In health, NAFDAC enforces SACHET alcohol ban. On NIMET warns of 3 days of poor weather. And finally in sport, AFCON 2026 MADUGU targets World Cup tickets. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Mary Ojimajo. Thank you for watching.